The Mariners are off today, so Colby's going to rank prospects 25 through 21 in Seattle's farm system, and we're going to answer some of your questions on today's episode of Locked On Mariners. Colby, hit it.
You are Locked On Mariners, your daily Seattle Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Locked On Mariners podcast. It is Thursday, August 11, 2022, and thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. We are free and available on all platforms with new episodes dropping every single Monday through Friday. I am your host, Ty Gonzalez, joined as always by my co-host, Colby Patnode. We cover the Mariners over at InsideTheMariners.com for Fan Nation over on the Sports Illustrated Network. Be sure to follow the show on Twitter at LO_Mariners. Follow Inside the Mariners at Inside Mariners. You can follow me at Dane Gonzalez, STANEGNZLZ, and Colby at Pat11, that's CPAT11. Be sure to also check out our Patreon over at patreon.com/control the zone. We post 2 additional podcasts on there every single week. Again, that is patreon.com/control the zone. And if this is your first time joining us here on the Locked On Mariners podcast, welcome to the show. If you like what you hear, give us a follow or subscribe wherever you're listening to this. And if you're watching us on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, and give this video a thumbs up. We greatly appreciate it. And today, we are going to be ranking prospects 25 through 21 by Colby here in the Mariners farm system. We're also going to be answering some of your questions. We got a few questions via email, got a few questions on Twitter. Going to answer as many as we possibly can on that front. But let's hop into the prospects. Continuing prospect week, which we've taken a couple of days off from, but we're going to ramp it back up. We did 30 through 26 on Monday's show, and now we are doing prospects 25 through 21 in the Mariners farm system, starting with outfielder Zach Deloach, who has been a meme in the Mariners Twitter sphere. Top prospects, Zach Deloach, 23 years old, down in AA Arkansas. He continues to fall down your ranks. I believe the last time he did your ranks, he was somewhere in the late teens. Now he's at 25. Why does Zach Deloach continue to fall for you?
Yeah, just the odds of him ever being an everyday player are falling pretty quick. Looks like a 4th outfield ceiling. Not really struggled early in the year. He's kind of turned it on as of late, but there's just not a lot of ceiling here. He looks like he's a 4th outfielder. Maybe a slightly more athletic Seth Smith type. But is that somebody to really get that excited about? No. So, he's a good athlete. Can't really stay in center field though, and that really hurts his value. So he's a left fielder more than likely, who, I don't know, might get 240 with 15 home run power out of him, steal some bags, but that's really all he is. He's a 4th outfielder. There's nothing special about that. There's not a ton of, plus skills to work with, not a lot of plus tools. You're just kind of hoping that he hits his way to the big leagues, and, for his age, drafted out of college, and he's still kind of, puttering around down in AA. It's a bit concerning. So 4th outfielders are valuable. Strong side platoon guys are valuable, and an athlete like him is still valuable, but it's just not worthy of being top 20, even in a Mariner system that downgraded, I guess, at the trade deadline. He's just not quite there. So still might be a big leaguer, but there's not a lot of ceiling there.
Coming in at number 24 is a player that you have become very excited about. One of their draftees from this past draft last month, Hogan Windish, infielder, currently at Low A Modesto. He's 23 years old, has been playing second base, but might end up at first base /DH. That seems kind of where he's going to end up. And there's obviously been some comps to Ty France. And he's been hitting the absolute heck out of the ball down in Modesto so far since he was called up. And, this is a pretty aggressive spot to place a guy that was just a recent 7th round draft pick. So why do you like Hogan Windish so much?
So it's an 80 grade name. Second of all, the dude hits. He hit in college. He's hitting right now. It's funny, you watch him. The stance, the setup, it all reminds me of Michael Young. I'm a big Michael Young fan, so former Ranger shortstop. So maybe that has something to do with it. But it's a line drive approach. He can go line to line. He's developing power. It's already there. It's about average, but there might be a little bit more to tap into. And I would say, I think most people assumed he was going to move to first base, DH type. Not so fast, because according to Jason Churchill, who's been following him around for the last week or so down in the Cal League, he looks fine at second base. He makes the turn very well. He's got more than enough arm. He's comfortable there. It doesn't seem like it's a foregone conclusion that he cannot handle second base as a pro. So if you're getting an average bat, which I think Windish could be at second base, and it's average defense there, that's a very good player. So I think there's a little bit of Austin Shinton here, where this guy could really just, have a great rest of this year. And then next year he starts at, high A, and he's in double A by May. I think the bat is that advanced. It's a very, very simple swing, and it generates a lot of bat speed. And like I said, the power is definitely there. So ceiling, maybe that 1 year Jose Lopez was really good. But I really see a Ty Wigington, Steve Pierce type of comp here, and that's valuable. And I think he can get there pretty quick. I'm a big believer in the bat.
So coming in at number 23, Axel Sanchez, who I know Jason Churchill likes quite a bit, 19-year-old shortstop down in Low A Modesto, having a pretty good year. Why do you like Sanchez?
Well, he's a shortstop, first and foremost. There's really no debating that. He can definitely stick it short. He's got the tools. He's got the arm. It's pretty fluid over there. I wouldn't say he's a plus shortstop. Arroyo better defensively. And there's some swing and miss here. There's some things he has to clean up. But we're talking about probably average raw power right now. We're talking about a guy who, again, legitimate shortstop, can stay there. It's a power speed combo that's pretty rare at 19 years old. I don't think he's a star or anything like that, but Axel Sanchez is a guy who is developing at a rate that may have made it easier for Jerry Dipoto to part ways with Edwin Arroyo, because I think the Mariners really like what they have here in Axel Sanchez. I think there's a shot that we're talking about him a year from now in the top, 6 or 7 of this Mariner system. We have to see how the bat progresses. There's still a lot of work to be done on the swing and all that stuff, but it's a legitimate shortstop. He's a, above average runner with a plus arm, with at least average power right now. And so if you can just get the bat to average, that's an all-star. So again, a lot of work to do, 19 years old, but I think he can get there. And that's the profile that is really exciting for the Mariners to get their hands on. A lot of work to do, but the Mariners are willing to do it.
At number 22, Travis Kuhn, right-handed reliever, down in AA Arkansas. I know a lot of folks that follow the Mariners farm system quite a bit are falling in love with Travis Kuhn. So why is Travis Kuhn rising through the ranks for the Mariners and for folks that follow the Mariners farm?
Kind of out of nowhere, Travis Kuhn arrived this year throwing 95 to 99 miles an hour with a two-seamer that has run and sink, and a slider that is I would say it's closer to like the James Paxton slider, where it was like, is it a cutter? Is it a slider? It's kind of in the middle, but they're both legitimate swing and miss pitches. He's a reliever. There's no illusion that maybe he can start. He's a pure reliever, needs to throw more strikes, not great command, but really good stuff. He's 25 years old, so you really want to see him challenged. I would like to see him up in AAA here. But I think this is a guy who's got a really good shot to make the Mariners bullpen out of spring training next year. And if he has average control and command, he's a 7th inning type, possibly a high leverage guy, even if the slider finds a little bit more consistency. But it's two legitimate, 60 grade pitches. And if he can get to 50 grade command and 55 control, that's a high leverage arm.
All right, before we get to number 21 on our list and start answering some of your questions, real quick, a reminder this episode of Locked On Mariners is brought to you by Blue Nile. Whether you're ready to pop the question or you're celebrating a milestone moment, find jewelry as unique as them with the modern convenience of online shopping at BlueNile.com. Blue Nile has simple online tools that let you choose the diamond shape, size, and clarity, as well as setting style. Blue Nile's bench jewelers will then handcraft their perfect engagement ring, and each ring will be a one-of-a-kind. Looking for fine jewelry but having trouble choosing? Blue Nile has jewelry experts on hand 24/7, available via phone or chat to help you find a memorable gift at every budget. Make your moment sparkle with jewelry from BlueNile.com, and going on now is the Blue Nile Anniversary Sale. Save up to 40% on classic fine jewelry pieces and 25% on engagement ring settings. Plus, every order is insured, ships free, and arrives in discreet packaging that won't give away what's inside. Shop stress-free and find your forever piece. Go to BlueNile.com today. You're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast. Thank you again for making us your first listen of the day. So, Colby, let's hop back in to your prospect ranks and finish things up here with number 21, Stephen Kolek. 25-year-old right-handed pitcher, 25 years old. That's pretty old for a prospect, especially one that's down in Double-A. But why do you like Kolek so much to put him at 21 on your list?
It's a big fastball. It's 97 miles an hour. And it's a pretty easy 97. There's not a ton of effort in the delivery. The slider, I would say, is probably about 55 grade right now. The fun thing about the slider is he can not only get swings and misses outside of the zone with it, he can throw it for a strike when he needs it. So it's a legitimate 55 grade pitch. The fastball is probably a 60 grade pitch. Now, again, he is 25. Control is not great. This all kind of screams, reliever profile here. But there has been some improvement in his third pitch and a changeup. He's working on it. It's flashed average. There's a chance he can start. There's a chance he's a late bloomer. Ultimately, he's probably a reliever. Most pitchers are probably relievers. But it is one of those things where I think I would say that I think he has just enough of a chance to start that's why I was willing to put him ahead of somebody like Travis Kuhn. But ultimately, I do think he's probably a reliever, and I am interested to see if they put a little effort into that delivery. Maybe he could regularly touch triple digits with the fastball and still, throw a really nice slider that he can throw in the strike zone and outside of the strike zone and get swings and misses with. It's a really interesting arm, and maybe the Mariners have found something that other organizations couldn't in the 25-year-old.
Now, yesterday off air, you told me this was your favorite crop of prospects that we were going to be talking about on this list. Why?
Not the best, but my favorite, because Hogan Windish is in it. And also Axel Sanchez. I really like what I'm hearing about Axel Sanchez. Travis Kuhn is a fun arm. I think, there's a chance Kuhn and Kolek are both Mariners bullpen arms next year. And I don't think I don't think we can absolutely say that there's no chance that Kolek is a starter at some point.
Sure.
So yeah, it's just a fun list. Like I said, I really Windish and Axel Sanchez, to me, those are two guys that I think a year from now could be top 10 prospects in a good Mariner system, which is going to reload again with probably an extra draft pick if Julio wins Rookie of the Year. And a really good international class. I just think those guys are going to produce, and they're going to rise quickly. So it's hard not to follow Mariners minors right now and not see the name Hogan Windish and Axel Sanchez just pasted everywhere. So those are two really exciting players. I think they're going to move pretty fast. So that's why I really like this portion of the list.
All right, so let's get into our listeners' questions. And we're going to start with an email that we got earlier this week from Luke, who sent us a really, really nice email. Actually, he sent it back on August 5th. So sorry for just now getting to this, Luke, but really appreciate the email. He's actually got 4 questions for us, but I think they're all pretty quick that we can answer. Plus, they more so ask about stuff with us rather than stuff with the team. And I think now that, we've added a lot of subscribers, we've added a lot of listeners as of late, especially over the last month or so, I think it would be good for you at home to maybe learn more about us. So First question. We have some questions for me, some questions for you, Colby. So the first question is more so directed to me. Ty, how did you become a Mariners fan living in Toronto? Well, so I was born in Washington. I lived there for 12 years of my life. Naturally, a Mariners fan because of that. Ended up moving around, and I met who would end up becoming my wife online, and she lives in Toronto, and so I ended up moving here. We got married. I'm a permanent resident here in Canada now, and so now the downside to that, unfortunately, is that I have to typically wait until 10 o'clock for Mariners games to even start, at least Mariners home games or anytime they're on the West Coast. So that part is not fun, especially on during Monday night's crazy, or not Monday night, but the crazy 13 inning affair between the Yankees and the Mariners, because I ended up staying up until like 2:30 in the morning watching that game, and then I had to record a video after and stayed up till 3. So that can happen. There's a lot of long nights being a Mariners fan living in Toronto. And then he adds, if I'm understanding correctly, you're involved a lot with Seattle sports in general. How did you get started in that? Well, that actually kind of ties into what your third question on here is, and that's how did you guys meet up? How did Colby and I meet up? Were you guys friends for a while before covering sports together, or did the friendship develop while covering sports together? It's the latter. I can see it on Colby's face right now. He's going, friendship?
Yeah, I don't know about that. I remembered our anniversary, so
That's true. Yeah, you're still holding that against me. You're gonna hold it against me until the next anniversary, aren't you?
pretty sure I'm the one who remembered the CTZ anniversary as well, but okay. No,
So-
yes, Ty is definitely married, living in Toronto.
Definitely,
Yeah.
quote unquote. All right, so you're it's the latter. For your third question, basically how I got my start is how Colby and I ended up meeting each other. So Colby was the site expert over at Soto Mojo, which is the fan-sided site for the Mariners. I applied, he approved me. I wrote under him for a few months. We ended up running the site for a while, and then once that ended, we ended up sticking together and starting our independent thing, which is Control the Zone on Patreon. We also started up a website called True to the Trident, which I didn't really follow through on because I ended up getting busy. I ended up getting busy with other stuff. Colby was also writing over at what was called at the time Seahawk Maven, now All Seahawks, over on the Fan Nation network on Sports Illustrated. And he ended up getting me in touch with Corbin Smith, who was the publisher at the time. And I ended up starting writing over there. And then I became Corbin's co-reporter / editor, and did that for about a year and a half. Had some really cool opportunities from that. Fortunately, that came to an end, a couple months ago, and now I'm just doing Locked On M's, and I'm covering Inside the Mariners or covering the Mariners for Inside the Mariners over at Fan Nation for Sports Illustrated. So
I
There you
think
go.
what Ty's trying to say is that Colby got me a Mariners job,
Yeah,
a Seahawks job, and then a legitimate Seahawks job, because you wouldn't have gotten the legitimate Seahawks job if I
which
hadn't gotten
led
the
to
Seahawks
a
writing job.
legitimate Mariners job.
Yes. And all Ty ever got me was fired. So, it's one of those things where the relationship has had its ups and downs, let's say. But yes, Ty owes it all to me is what he's basically saying.
I mean, to be transparent here, I was the one who was asked to host Locked On, and then I said,
Yeah.
I have a buddy that I podcast with. So technically, I got you this job. So debt repaid.
Oh, so we're about even. I got you 3 jobs. You got me 1 after you fired me from one of the jobs that I got you. Okay. Cool.
I mean,
yeah.
I mean,
Cool.
I mean,
No, sure. No, but it's I had no idea who Ty was, and I only approved him because I was desperate for writers. So
yeah, it's true. That's honestly not wrong. All right, so this question is for you, Colby. What's your background in player analysis? I hear you quoting stats a lot, but a lot of your comments make me think you've got your own very developed eye for talent aside from just box scores or stat sheets. Have you spent time as a coach or a scout? How did you find your way into that aspect of the game, or what piqued your interest in it?
So no scouting. I did coach, but very low level, nothing that would give you an edge or anything like that. I don't think I have a great eye for talent, to be honest with you. I like who I like, and I don't like who I don't like, and sometimes I can't explain it. But for the most part, I'm just reading the same stats you guys are. I just maybe place value on them differently. For example, the Dylan Moore thing, right? Like, oh, well, he's got a 115 WRC plus, and it's like, well, that's great, but that's largely based on the fact that he's hit 6 home runs and like 100 at bats, and that he's gotten hit by 8 pitches. Like, that's driving his on base percentage. So like, it's just one of those things that, to me, I always look at context, and I try to blend kind of the numbers that I do love and I do place more value on with what my eyes are telling me. And like, it's, lately the thing has been like Logan Gilbert. Oh, his numbers have been fine except for the last 2 starts, but watch him. What do your eyes tell you about Logan Gilbert? He's in trouble. So it's one of those things where, to me, I just read a lot, right? I'm not afraid to read other people's scouting reports. I look at the numbers just like everybody else. Sometimes, I look at more than one set of numbers. It's just, to me, it's just about, trying to have the biggest picture you can. So nothing special about what I do. Like I said, I'm not a scout. I'm terrible with like swing analysis. I pretty much farm that out to other people who can do that. And so it's one of those things where, I'm not a scout. I don't have a scouting background. I just, read a lot of baseball. I watch a lot of baseball, and I just kind of form opinions based on that. So there's nothing very scientific about it. I just, I think I have a pretty decent track record at spotting who's going to be good, who's going to be bad, but that's just luck as far as I can tell. And I think my decent track record is probably about the same as everybody else's, 50-50. So just read a lot of fan graphs, a lot of baseball reference, a lot of StatCast, watch a lot of video, watch a lot of games, and just kind of, trust what my eyes tell me and then back it up with the stats. And if the stats tell me I'm wrong, I kind of try to find out why. And that's pretty much how I come up with my player evaluations, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, compiling stats, compiling the eye tests and everything to lead to an ultimate conclusion, right?
And,
that's what I do as well.
Right. I know we got to run here, but I would just say also, don't be afraid to be wrong, and don't be afraid to be wrong in a big way. Put yourself out there. If you're right, great. Nobody cares. If you're wrong, everybody will let you know. That doesn't matter. Right.
Yeah,
Stay true to yourself. This is what I believe. This is what I think should happen. And if it does happen and it turns out great for you, awesome. If it doesn't, everybody will let you know, and you can just ignore them. It's not that hard. So yeah, don't be afraid to be wrong in a big way.
All right, last thing from Luke. How do I get a Julio Rodriguez jersey? Since it's his rookie year playing for the Mariners and my first year cheering for them, that's got to be the jersey I get. Not to mention that he may be one of the GOATs when it's all said and done. Thing is, I can't find anything on Amazon or on the Mariners online shop, but I know those jerseys exist. Do either of you know a place to look for them? So I actually looked into this myself recently because I would like to purchase a Julio Rodriguez Navy jersey. The best place that you're going to be able to find Julio jerseys is just the Mariners team store, and they will mail you stuff if you call them on the at the ballpark. I would recommend the team store at the ballpark itself. That's the best one. It has the most selection, it has the most variety, and it's typically your best bet to find the stuff that you want. The issue, though, is with the supply chain issues going on. I mean, even the Mariners themselves this year weren't able to wear the Northwest green jerseys for a month, for the first month of the season, because of supply chain issues. Jerseys are not as available as typically they would pre-pandemic, basically. For me, being a Mariners fan in Toronto, or just a Mariners fan outside of Washington in general, it's awful for getting stuff because the websites, the MLB shops and the Fanatics and all that stuff just doesn't update. There's hardly anything on there right now. So I would call the Mariners team store. Now, if you do want a Navy jersey, Navy Julio jersey in particular, those apparently are not going to be in stock until September. They didn't tell me what date specifically, but they did say that September they are expecting to get them. So just a heads up on that if you are interested. But I would recommend the team store.
Yeah, team store is your best bet. Kind of depends if you want like screen printed or you want stitched and all that stuff. But yeah, for some reason the Mariners team store does not let you order online. You have to physically call them and place your order, which is, to me, one of the dumbest things that I've ever heard. But it is what you have to do. Fanatics, you can get, I think right now you can get like a screen printed. It's still a nice jersey, but it's not stitched. So there's no like embossed like on the lettering or anything like that. But I think you can get one right now for like $80, one of his All-Star jerseys. So yeah, it just kind of depends on how much you want to spend and how long you're willing to wait. But you can order them at the Mariners team store. You just have to physically call them.
Yeah.
Or email them.
All right, so we are going to get into your Mariner specific questions from Twitter in just a moment, but real quick, a reminder, this episode of Locked On Mariners is brought to you by Liver Health Formula. Did you know the key to sustainable weight loss is through your liver? The liver is the body's metabolic furnace. It's responsible for flushing out harmful toxins and igniting your fat-burning metabolism. But thanks to modern diets rich in unhealthy processed foods and constant exposure to thousands of man-made and environmental toxins, most of us have overworked livers. But now it's easy to rejuvenate your liver health and reignite your metabolism thanks to Liver Health Formula by Pure Health Research. Liver Health Formula contains 8 liver-boosting super nutrients like turmeric, beet, and artichoke extract, all of which work together to wake up a sluggish liver and turn it into a toxin-flushing and fat-burning machine. No more bloated belly, no more uncomfortable digestion, no more feeling tired and low on energy all the time, and best of all, Liver Health Formula makes it easier to maintain a healthy body weight long-term. As a listener of our show, you can try Liver Health Formula risk-free today and get a free bottle of Curb Fit with your order. Curb Fit is a safe and all-natural appetite suppressant, making it easy to say no to unhealthy foods. This makes it the perfect complement to Liver Health Formula. Go to getliverhelp.com/MLB to learn more. Again, that's getliverhelp.com/MLB to try Liver Health Formula completely risk-free and claim your free bottle of Curb Fit with your order. Go to getliverhelp.com/MLB now to get started. All right, so let's get into your questions from Twitter. We're only going to be able to answer a few of these, but let's start with Daisy and the Dingo. How much do you guys care about remaining strength of schedule? According to Tankathon and Fangraphs, the Mariners have the easiest remaining strength of schedule in the bigs. Colby?
Some, but not a ton. A lot of this is always subjective. Who's healthy, who's not healthy. What starting pitchers am I going to run up against? Like, oh, I play the Angels, 10 times, but what if I face Shohei Ohtani 3 times? It's one of those things where, yes, it's helpful and it can, provide some hope when there's some, maybe a downturn or something like that. But ultimately it comes down to who's playing well, who's healthy, who's producing, who's not, who's available, who's not. Like Cleveland, right? That's a big series coming up here, 7 against Cleveland. What if you have to face Shane Bieber twice? What if Emmanuel Clase pitched 3 of the last 4 days and he's just not available for the first 2 games of the series, So it does have value, but not a ton, especially the further out you get. The Mariners schedule in September, like late September, really doesn't matter right now because we don't know who's healthy, who's playing well. So it's helpful, but to me it's not something that I study, closely. Like Ty was close to the camera there.
Yeah, I was trying to fix my laptop charger, which apparently wasn't plugged in. That could have been really bad for our recording there had I not noticed that. So, but yeah, at the end of the day, it's baseball, right? It's baseball. Things can happen. Craziness can ensue. Nothing is a guarantee. No game is a guarantee that you're going to win, that you're going to lose, what have you, right? So you can put some stock into it. Obviously, this is a very easy schedule on paper, right? This is like the Mariners have to royally mess this up, or something has to go wrong that's out of their control, like injuries, right? Like a bunch of injuries for them to not be able to get through this at least, somewhat above 500, right? Like, there's a very good chance that they're going to be able to get through this. I mean, they only have to go 30-19 over their next 49 games to finish with the same record as last year. I think there's a pretty good chance of them.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Just 11 over in 50 games. Oh, okay. No problem.
No problem.
No, I mean, you'd rather have an easier schedule on paper than a harder schedule on paper, but that's all it is. It's on paper. You still got to win the games.
Mm-hmm. All right, so next question comes from Doug at Sals_Doug. Jerry solved this problem at the deadline, but let's say you have 2 prospects who play the same position and are on a similar developmental timeline. Think Cole Young and Edwin Arroyo, of course, who was traded to the Cincinnati Reds in the Luis Castillo deal. Do you have them play at the same level? One plays second or separate levels? Colby?
Yeah, so much about development is about the bat. It's the most important tool. And also this isn't a problem. Like, oh, I have too many shortstops. Oh no, great. So yeah, it's just one of those things where if they're both ready for the same level, you find a way to make it work. And there's really no point in worrying about, like, for in this example, right? Arroyo and Cole Young. Let's say they were both at Double A at the same time. By then you have a pretty good idea of which one's going to be your shortstop, and you just slide the other one to second base. It doesn't mean that, like, Cole Young would never play shortstop in this scenario. He probably would, and maybe you see what Edwin Arroyo looks like in center field or third base or whatever. So yeah, you just find a way to make it work. But ultimately, it comes down to the bats. If the bats are developing at roughly the same level, that's a good thing, and you just put them where they're going to be challenged offensively the most. Where you still think they can succeed. So it comes down to the bats. Positions you kind of figure out later. And yeah, in this very specific scenario, you just slide one of the guys to second base because that still is an insanely valuable defensive position.
Yeah, you're not going to put someone in an unfavorable situation just because their position isn't available.
Yeah.
So Cole Young and Edwin Arroyo, had they both been in the organization at the same time, I mean, they were for like a couple of weeks, but like actually, had an opportunity to play with one another. Yeah, you would just move one of them to second base, likely Young, who has a likelier path to being a second baseman than Edwin Arroyo does. So, yeah, I think that's just what the solution would be in that situation. Because again, like, why would I want to put, because we're talking about teenagers here, right? Guys that are in their late teens with both Arroyo and Young. Why would I want to put a 19-year-old in high A when he's clearly not ready for it? When most 19-year-olds are not ready for high A. I mean, obviously you got guys like Axel Sanchez that have made like quick little appearances there, but usually they need to be down in low A or the complex league, etc. So just because their position isn't necessarily available to them doesn't mean that I'm just going to suddenly throw their development time out of the window. So next question comes from Taylor Jolly at Go Mariners Forever. Assuming Sam Haggerty continues to hit at a above average clip, what role do you see him playing in 2023? Super utility role, or do you see him getting a shot at a starting role? Colby?
Yeah. So assuming that, he stays at the big league level for the next 50 games, as he should, and in those 50 games, he gets another, 150 plate appearances, let's say, give or take, and he continues to perform. I think at that point, you could convince me to go into the offseason penciling Haggerty in as the starting second baseman next year. He's pretty good there. There's a lot of fun things he can do. He's really good, like number 8, number 9 type of hitter. I don't think you should just assume that he's going to be that guy. I think if an opportunity comes along to get better there, you do it, and you just kind of slide Haggerty around. But really what Haggerty does with a really good, final 50 games is he puts himself on the 26-man roster and forces the Mariners to find a way to kick him off. Right now, we're not even 100% sure that he's going to stick when everybody's healthy, even though he should, but we can't say that for sure. But we can't say that's for sure. But if Haggerty does stick and he continues to play like this for the next 50 games, then the Mariners have the burden to find somebody significantly better, because let's not forget Haggerty is also controllable and very, very cheap, which would allow them to go spend more resources at, say, third base or in the bullpen or in left field. So, I think I think he's going to continue to hit some. I don't think he's going to put up a 150 WRC plus, but I think he'll hit some. And I think, I think what will probably happen is we'll enter the offseason saying he's penciled in as the starting second baseman because there's literally nobody else. And then ultimately, I think the Mariners' plan for him would be as kind of the 10th guy, the 11th guy, right? The guy who plays second, left field, third base, and plays 3 or 4 times a week. I think that's probably what his ceiling is. But I mean, if he does put up a 150 WRC plus over the next 50 games, and they tell me he's our starting second baseman next year, yep, totally get it.
Yeah. Right now, since the All-Star break, Sam Haggerty is first in batting average. And this is on the team, of course. First in batting average, first in slugging percentage, first in WRC plus, first in F4, second in on-base percentage by like 6 points. He's been very good. And of course, part of part of him being so high on the rankings list is, Julio Rodriguez hasn't played a lot. Ty France hasn't played a lot. Mitch Haniger hasn't played a lot. But Haggerty has been really, really good. He's an everyday player right now. Who knows if that continues, but right now he's an everyday player for the Mariners. They got to keep going with him. He's the hot hand right now. And he's helping them win games. Yesterday they had no sense of life against Nestor Cortez Jr., and then he hits that home run, and that kind of broke things open for the Mariners at that point. So, yeah, he's been massive for them. I mean, even you think back to the Texas game when they were down 4-0 or whatever, and then he hit the inside the park home run. That kicked everything off for the Mariners in that win. So he's been kind of the Energizer bunny for the Mariners in plenty of ways. So that's going to do it for our show today. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Locked On Mariners podcast. For Colby Patnode, I'm Ty Gonzalez. Be sure to give us a follow on Twitter at LO_Mariners. You can follow Inside the Mariners at Inside Mariners. You can follow me at Dane Gonzalez, that's DaneGnzlz, and Colby at CPAT11, that's CPAT11. You can also find all that stuff in the description of this episode, whether you're watching or listening to it. And thank you again for making us your first listen of the day, just like you do here every single day. We greatly appreciate your support. Now make your second listen the Locked On MLB podcast. MLB expert Paul Francis Sullivan brings humor, passion, and unique perspective on every team and the biggest stories around the league. Follow the #1 daily league-wide podcast, Locked On MLB, on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts, just like us. And with that, have yourself a beautiful baseball day. The Mariners are back tomorrow, and we will see you then. Peace.